I used to absolutely despise waking up early. I used to find it pointless because for the first few hours of the morning, I'd feel exhausted and unproductive and just generally unmotivated. I remember I had to wake up at 7 a.m. from Monday to Friday for school, and it was just torture. But then I made a few changes to my nighttime routine and morning routine so that when I started studying at university, I used to wake up at 4:45 a.m. every single morning, even on weekends, completely by choice. And it was honestly one of the best things I've ever done, because up until that point, I always thought I was a night owl. I thought that just naturally I was more productive in the evening and nighttime, but honestly, it couldn't have been further from the truth. As it turns out, I'm exponentially more productive in the morning than in the evening. And if I didn't implement these kind of strategies, which I'm going to talk about in this video, into my life, then I would never have known. And so this is how I did it. So first, just real quick, I'm going to get this out of the way because it's a really easy, actionable step that anyone can do. You can put your alarm clock either in another room or the other side of the room, so when it goes off, you have to physically get out of bed to turn it off, because the hardest part of getting up early is just ignoring the alarm clock and hitting the snooze button, right? So this way you're forced to get out of bed to cancel the alarm clock. Secondly, in my opinion, it's okay to lie in bed for 15 or 20 minutes while you catch up on emails or social media or whatever. I never get out of bed as soon as my alarm clock goes off because it takes me a good 15 minutes or so to actually wake up. So if I am struggling to wake up, I actually set 2 alarm clocks. So let's say if I want to wake up at 4:45 a.m. for example, I'd set the first alarm for 4:45 and I'd have that alarm next to my bed, usually my phone alarm. Then I'd set an alarm on my laptop in my office, which is in the next room to my bedroom, and I'd set that alarm at 5 a.m. So the first alarm is at 4:45 a.m. to actually wake up, and then I'd have another alarm at 5 a.m. to get out of bed. So for me, learning how to wake up early was one of the best things I could have done. It really did change my mindset in terms of my kind of energy levels, in terms of my overall happiness, in terms of my productivity and achievement. I went from being really quite lazy, honestly, to being kind of super motivated. And that's why I created the Transform Your Grades course about a year ago, which by the way, we're currently running the biggest discount we've ever had. I think it's on sale for 64% off right now. So I managed to transform my grades from getting on average a 1.3 GPA throughout my entire education, and I turned that around and graduated university with a 4.0 GPA and in the top 5% of my university. Now that whole process of learning how to do that took me 3 years, and I've been coaching and teaching literally millions of students on this channel for 5 years now, but I basically consolidate all of that knowledge into one package and teach you exactly how I did it in just 30 days. So hundreds of students have already enrolled and graduated from the course, and they've left some awesome testimonials, and the course has been so effective for them partly because how many times have you watched a YouTube video teaching you how to improve on something, but then you go away and never make any changes, right? So I've designed this 30-day challenge to bridge the gap between acquiring knowledge and implementation. It heavily focuses on taking concrete, actionable steps to significantly improve your exam grades. There's a link in the description below. Like I said, we're running the biggest sale we've ever run, and it will be ending in the next few days. So I've realized that, at least for me, if you need to start waking up early at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. whatever it is, if you can keep it up for 3 weeks, then your body starts to get used to it, so it no longer takes this kind of massive effort to wake up early. So if you can get through that first 3 weeks, which honestly it will take a fairly big dose of self-discipline, then after that it should become a whole lot easier. Another really important strategy that I implemented and that I still use to this day is that I set an alarm on my phone in the evening at the time that I need to be winding down and start getting ready to go to bed. I think most people go about it backwards. They want to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever time it is, so then they set their alarm clock at that time. But then when their alarm clock goes off in the morning, they're still feeling really tired, so they hit the snooze button or just cancel the alarm and continue sleeping. So instead of doing it that way, I reversed it and I set my alarm clock at the time I wanted to go to bed. I would wake up at 4:45 a.m. so I'd want to be in bed by 9 p.m. the night before, so I'd be asleep by just before 10 p.m. So that's a good 7 hours of sleep. And doing it that way, when my alarm went off at 4:45, because I just had 7 hours of sleep, it was actually really easy to wake up. In fact, often I'd wake up naturally 15 or 20 minutes before my alarm clock actually went off because my body had rested enough and it knew it was time to wake up. And another point, if you're struggling with your sleeping pattern, and let's say you usually wake up most mornings at 11 a.m. or 12 or even early afternoon, and you want to start waking up early, it's best to do it gradually over a period of a week or so. So one morning wake up at 11 a.m, then the next day wake up at 10 a.m, then the next day wake up an hour earlier. And if you try to fix your sleeping pattern in one night and say you normally wake up at 11 a.m, but then the next morning you try to wake up at 5 a.m, it's going to be extremely difficult, and it's why a lot of people fail when they're trying to do this. And I should point out that for pretty much every single day while studying for my bachelor's degree, so for 3 years, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. However, these days I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, not 4:45. I wish that I could wake up earlier because the very early mornings are by far the most productive time of the day for me. However, I'm living in Vietnam right now and I have business calls quite often with people based in the US and Europe, so work kind of just gets in the way, I guess. It makes it not practical to start going to sleep at 9 or 10 p.m. So literally when preparing for this video, I have a call in Brazil at 9 p.m. my time, which I think is 10 in the morning their time. So yeah, unfortunately waking up super early these days would kind of interrupt my work schedule. If I need to dramatically change my sleeping pattern, I will spread it out over a couple of weeks. And this is often the case when I travel and I'm in a completely different time zone. So for example, if I want to start waking up at 5 a.m, I would start waking up at 8 a.m. for a few nights. Then as my body starts getting used to waking up at 8 a.m, I then start waking up at 7 a.m. for a few nights, and I slowly work myself down to 5 a.m. over a period of a couple of weeks. You see, it's really easy to wake up extremely early, even 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. if you wanted to, providing that two things happen first. Firstly, you go to sleep and you wake up at the same time every single day. That means no cheat day, 7 days a week, even on weekends. That way your body will get used to it, and so naturally you'll wake up after having 7 or 8 hours of sleep. The second thing is that you need to be disciplined with your sleep schedule. So that means that if you need to be in bed by 10 p.m. at night time, then you make sure that you're in bed by 10 p.m. that night. And that means no excuses. You really have to prioritize your sleep above all other things going on in your life to make it happen. Another thing that was incredibly important was that I had a nighttime routine. I've noticed that there are two things that if I do them just before I sleep, I won't be able to sleep for hours and I'll still be lying in bed wide awake at 3 or 4 in the morning. And the first one is exercise, particularly cardiovascular exercise such as running. If I go for a run 1 hour before I sleep, there's no chance I'm gonna fall asleep. Maybe it's because of the chemicals and hormones like adrenaline that are released during the run. I don't know, but going for a run before I sleep is a bad idea. The second thing is watching YouTube. I've noticed if I watch YouTube in bed before I sleep, at least for me, it kind of stimulates my brain to the point where there are so many ideas and thoughts rushing around my mind that I just can't relax and go to sleep. I've actually found a good substitute for watching YouTube before bed is either reading or even just watching Netflix. So watching a film or a documentary is far more relaxing than watching YouTube videos, at least for me. So for you, closing your eyes and listening to a podcast, some kind of light meditation or filling in a nightly journal might be a better option for you. So waking up early was just one of the things I did that really had a massive effect on my productivity and my overall happiness. But there were a few kind of additional strategies I implemented that really transformed my life. I go through them in more detail in a video I uploaded recently called How I Transformed from Lazy to Motivated in just 1 year. Alternatively, I made another video, my 6 p.m. evening routine, a really important video if you are working on getting your sleeping pattern in check. And finally, the Transform Your Grades course is on sale with a 64% discount. We've never discounted the course that much before. It's ending in the next few days. There's a link in the description below.